Hi everybody, it's Brian.
And I'm Shauna.
Today we're going to talk about the reactions we've received so far regarding our news to go full time. And then we'll talk about some of the planning stages we're in the middle of right now also.
Part of our planning in the beginning was YouTube videos, and I have to say we still watch YouTube videos, 3 to 5 a night, and this has been going on since August, I would say. Yeah, and some books that were very helpful as well. RV Living, as we mentioned in our earlier video, or Living the RV Life from Mark and Julie Bennett was extremely helpful as well, and there are others. There's a ton of information out there if you're considering transitioning to this lifestyle.
I think the important thing to remember also is, through our search and exploration, we found that there's really no one way of living this life. We've had numerous RVs, all the way from a tent camper, all the way up now to a Class A gas motorhome, and so we've kind of experienced the things that were lacking in some of those RVs, and we knew that we wanted in our future RVs. So that's kind of where we are now. And again, there's no perfect rig. It's all about what you want. We've decided that our rig, we found the perfect rig for us, and we made a lot of modifications to it, which we'll go through in a later video. Also, we'll have an RV tour to kind of show you what the upgrades are and how those benefit us in our full-time living journey.
And I think that's a benefit or an advantage for us, I believe, as well. We had our RV and we've had an opportunity to spend time in it. We've had it for over a year at this point. But we've had an opportunity to go out on vacations with it and weekends with it. So we've gotten a flavor of and a taste of what that's going to be in the rig that we have now. So I know some people that are moving into this lifestyle are out searching for their rig where we already have ours, so I feel like that's a bit of an advantage for us. So the next step of our journey was to start looking at our finances and our budget. First of all, our finances. Can we afford this? What's it going to take to get here, to reach our goal? And then budgeting for the lifestyle going forward. So we spent quite a bit of time looking at our debt. And I think there's differing viewpoints on debt, how much debt you take into this lifestyle, how much you take care of before. But we definitely looked at our own debt and explored ways to ensure that we were going into it fairly debt-free. Would you say fairly debt-free?
Well, in terms of consumer debt, we'll have none, no mortgage, vehicle payments, none of that.
A great question that we would have for our viewers is, if you are already in this full-time RV life, what is a great credit card that gives you points or percentage back that you would recommend that we have? We're exploring that and haven't found a good answer to it yet. So we'd love to have your comments at the end of the video.
Yeah, I mean, for most people, at any given time, you've got 2 or 3 credit cards, and some are better than others. Most credit cards now offer a lot of fuel points and things like that, 2 or 3 times fuel points or whatever those are. And we have a couple of those. We just don't know if those are the best ones to actually hit the road full time on.
So after we looked at our debt, and we did pay down quite a bit getting to this point. So we took the opportunity to pay down some debt. We ended up selling some of our, we call them toys. Ended up selling some of our toys, which was a boat and a ATV and a car and that sort of thing, to help prepare us for this.
Yeah, so those decisions weren't easy necessarily because we're pretty active and we enjoy doing things. And we'd go to the lake almost every weekend in our boat, or pack the ATVs up in our toy hauler that we had at the time, and go out riding in the desert or the mountains or something. And then of course my hot rod, and I'll put a picture of my hot rod for those guys who appreciate hot rods to show you what I had. It's pretty sweet. I just purchased actually last December a 2018 Challenger SRT 392 with a 6.4 liter Hemi. So all you car guys will know what I'm talking about. I'll put a picture in and let you see that. So anyway, getting rid of all those things, kind of bittersweet, but it really was a relief and a release almost to get rid of that stuff and just be knowing that we're becoming unencumbered with all of that stuff
Right.
that we don't need, as most of us have, right? And that's the difficult part, I think, for this life, transitioning to this life, is getting rid of your stuff. And that's what we're doing in our home right now. We're going through closets and rooms and realizing
A lot of stuff.
how much stuff. Not only that, but how much money we've spent.
Yeah, on stuff.
How much we've consumed, and it's really becoming apparent now.
It's eye-opening.
Yeah,
for sure.
How much we're going to enjoy a different lifestyle. I guess without being encumbered with all of that stuff.
Then the next step is that we looked at our budget and what we anticipated the expenses would be going forward, what we anticipated coming in from a savings perspective, from the sale of our home, from the sale of our possessions, the sale of our toys, and that type of thing, so that we would have some idea of how much we were going to need on an annual basis for life on the road.
So one hot topic has always been from day one is, when do we decide to leave? What's our escape date, if you will? And so our escape date has kind of moved. It's been a little bit of a moving target, only because we've been super busy lately. Our son is getting married the 10th of March. Our youngest son is getting married the 10th of March, and our oldest son is graduating from college the 6th of May.
It's the 6th of May.
6th of May, I think it is. So we've kind of got to work around all of that in conjunction with the coordination of the auction to sell all of our goods, and obviously the sale of the home. All right, with all of that in mind, we decided that our leave date is probably going to be the 7th of May. As soon as our son graduates from college, that's when we're going to pretty much head out. Now, we'll already be out of our house by then. We'll be staying in a RV park probably 2 weeks or so prior to that point, because we'll have most likely sold the house and
that is the plan.
kind of
yes.
wrap that up.
So with the date of May 7th in mind, May 7th, May 8th, we'll have to see, but definitely that first or second week within May. Then we started looking back at the calendar to determine when each of these different steps need to be accomplished. For example, selling our home, contacting the estate sale company, starting to purge our closets and our garage, selling our toys and that sort of thing. So a lot of planning was done actually since August. We've really started that planning cycle since then. We got a calendar and we started marking off the dates. And now we are in that critical time period where we really only have 2.5-ish months left before we hit the road. It seems like a lot is happening right now. So we should have a lot of content to share with you each week as we go through the process. One thing that I knew was going to be difficult or challenging was telling our family and our friends that we have made this decision, because we know we know that there are a lot of people out there doing it, but we also know that it's going to be somewhat foreign to them. We started with our parents.
Well, their initial reaction was, yeah, right. They really, I suppose, thought we were foolish. They are also RVers, and they've been RVing, as Shauna said earlier in our first video, that she grew up doing that. So it's not foreign to them, and they understand how exciting that can be, and they enjoy that lifestyle too. But just they're not full-timers. They just couldn't grasp how we're going to give up everything in terms of our material stuff to go seek a new lifestyle. And that's sort of part of our elevator speech, and that is we've decided to trade all of our stuff and all the things that surround us and encumber us for a more joyful life, something that's more meaningful to us and beyond consumerism that we've been so wrapped up in.
Trading our stuff for experiences.
Yeah, trading our stuff for experiences and excitement and joy and living the life that we choose to live here on out. So on the flip side of that, when I told my parents, they sort of already knew, because we had talked about buying the Class A and all of this stuff, and they were like, we knew that that's what you were going to do, because we had went out there for my parents still live in Indiana. We had gone out there for a family reunion, and I sat down with them and told them our plans, and my dad was like, I knew that's what you were going to do. So he was right.
Yeah. And overall, I think they were pretty happy
Yeah.
about the fact that we would get out more, actually. Get out meaning we would get to Indiana more and be able to see family more and be able to see, other places versus being kind of landlocked. And then I think from my family, it was more of an understanding that you don't do this necessarily until you reach retirement age. So there was a bit of a longer conversation that we had with them to really share the reason behind why we want to do this now and why it makes sense for this particular time in our life. Because as Brian said, there are no guarantees and life is short. And we want to do this, and we need to do this while we can, while we have the time, while we have the means to do it.
So that leads into telling our friends and coworkers. We did let a few of our closest friends know before we gave notice that we're going to resign from our jobs. Some of our closer friends, we told about our decision, and they were super excited, like, wow, that's awesome. If we could do that, we could. And of course, our answer always is, well, why can't you?
Right.
And I get that all the time at work. People are like, man, I wish I could do something like that. And my response is, what's stopping you? Mm-hmm. And it's usually always one of two things. I need a job, right? In the traditional sense. And then, we've got a house and we have all of these things that are encumbering us. That's generally what hangs people up when I tell them about our story and tell them that they can also do it. But for the most part, support from coworkers has been positive. People have come by and said, wow, it's awesome. It's something I would love to do. And of course, again, my response is, well, then why don't you?
Yes. And then what? What?
Right. And then what is like, you're giving up all your stuff. You know, and it's hard for people to get over. It's very difficult because
it's hard to understand.
Yeah, because the
that
stuff,
big shift.
Yeah, the stuff becomes you, right? And you are your stuff.
Yeah.
And as we said in the first video, Shauna was stuck on that too. She couldn't get past the fact that all of her stuff and all of our stuff defined us, right? And what are we going to do with our stuff? And if we
have to be able to afford our stuff and keep our stuff, and our stuff is important.
And that cycle, right? That continues, right? Buy more, spend more, buy more, spend more, want more, need more. That whole cycle. That's got so much, so many of us trapped. So.
And I think another common reaction was, are you retiring? Does this mean that you're retiring? And we've answered that over and over again. And truly, we aren't retiring. We just need a means to support ourselves while we're on the road, which is a whole lot less, as you know, if you're already doing this, a whole lot less than what you need when you're trying to support a mortgage and car payments and home maintenance and just your stuff. So I think people are surprised by that too.
What I always tell people is we're retiring from life as we've known it. Mm-hmm. And so it's amazing how when you say that, how other people hear that in a certain way, but when I say it to myself and I hear that, it's amazing how liberating that is, right? We're choosing to retire from life as we've known it. And so what that does, it opens up possibilities, right? And we talked about earlier about how we are really travelers and adventurers at heart, and we've done it so much that, not a whole lot scares us. And so we're looking at this as, obviously something positive and what's on the horizon for us, not what we're leaving behind or giving up. Certain things are going to be a little painful, leaving friends and family, but at the same time, this lifestyle affords us the opportunity to go see those people more often and when we choose.
After we gave notice, then we started thinking about memberships, or actually jumping back into the finance and the budgeting piece of it. How can we reduce those variable costs of camping fees and that sort of thing? So we looked at memberships that were popular or that were widely used across full-time RVers. And then it just happened to be when we were at the Quartzsite RV show this past year, they were having a great deal on the, I think it was Passport America membership. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we ended up purchasing a 2-year Passport America membership. Harvest Host.
So the 2-year Passport membership, we actually got, was it 3 months? I think an extra 3 months because I'm a veteran.
That's right.
So they tacked that on there. So that was great. 3 months free. I'll take free money any day.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And then Harvest Host also had a deal right before the end of the year. I think they were offering $10 off, and that they were suggesting that perhaps their prices were going to go up for 2019. So we jumped on that and purchased a Harvest Host membership. We also have Good Sam's, or Good Sam membership. And I think that's it at this time.
Yeah, so a lot of Good Sam. Those of you who have it, we haven't used it yet, but I think a lot of times they offer like 20% discounts at some parks that that accept Good Sam. So that's great. Hey, again, I'll take free money.
Yeah. And then we've been exploring the Thousand Trails membership. I've read a lot. I've followed a lot of YouTube videos about the Thousand Trails, so that's also something that we are exploring. And again, if you have any comments or suggestions, we'd love to hear about it. Because I've heard good, I've heard not so good, not quite sure which direction to go in that.
Yeah, so leave your comments about your experiences if you have them, or thumbs up, thumbs down, good experiences, bad experiences. We kind of want it all so that we can obviously assess whether or not that's going to be valuable to us or not.
Definitely. So that was the camp membership. So I think we're at least have the basics right now when it comes to the memberships. Of course, we'd like to learn a little bit more about Thousand Trails. Then we started researching the biggies, or the big expenses, if you will, that we anticipate on the road. Health insurance for one. We've done some research with, I think it was FMCA offers health insurance, Escapers offers health insurance, and then as a recommendation for some other YouTubers out there, there's the health ministries. So we're taking a look at that as well. Not a ton of options, but we feel fortunate we won't have to go on Cobra, let's say. Right. In this journey, because Cobra can be really ridiculously expensive. So. And
again, would welcome your comments and experiences with healthcare, or health insurance rather, and what you have. If it's good, bad, indifferent, let us know. We'd appreciate that.
Yeah, definitely. And one thing that we did find in our research for health insurance was something called Teladoc, which I think is great. We have that now, but it's even available to us when we're on the road and we're not affiliated with our employer's insurance company. Yeah. And Teladoc is available through Walgreens, so you can just use your cell phone or your iPad or whatever you have, or your computer, call into a doc, and if you have things like sinus infection or bronchitis, and you can just meet with the doctor right then and there, and it's pretty cost effective, so I'm kind of excited about that.
Yeah, and they'll do an assessment. If they feel you need a prescription, they'll write a prescription for you and send that to the nearest pharmacy. So I think probably in 75% of the cases, that's probably going to be good enough, because most of us have a sniffle here and there, or sinusitis, or Shauna said bronchitis. Anything that's not major. Yeah. And that's one of the things about these health insurance plans too. I mean, they're not major medical, so that's it's a little bit of a concern to us. They're not not really covering the big ticket things like hospitalization and things like that. But I think there's ways around that. Again, leave your comments, your experiences, and information in the comments, and that would be helpful.
Yeah. Another big expense or item that we need to do research on was RV insurance, or full-time RV insurance. And I think you've got that one pretty well nailed down now with the insurance company that we're with right now. Yeah,
so I contacted the insurance company, and it's really not that much more. I think it's $20 or $30 extra per month.
That's not bad.
Full-timers insurance.
Wow.
And we're already paying, very little per month. So I think it's going to end up being like $100 a month for full coverage, full-timer insurance, including everything that's inside the rig. So, it's pretty cheap, I think.
And it is different. It is insurance is for full-time RV living.
Right.
That you researched. Were there a lot of companies out there that were offering it, or did you not?
Not a lot, but there are several.
Okay.
We use Progressive.
Okay.
Or USAA, since I'm a former military. USAA, and they contract with Progressive as their RV third-party carrier, and they have all of the insurance for full-timers and things. And again, it depends on what you want in terms of your limits and things like that. But again, ours is right around $100 a month, $110, something like that. So reasonable.
It doesn't seem bad. That's pretty good. Mm-hmm. Okay. The other biggie was Wi-Fi and cellular carriers.
It was my job to outfit the rig, and part of the tour that I'll give you will show you all of that. I have a complete wireless network in the rig. It's a system that's very similar to what emergency response vehicles have. Cellular modems, you see the antennas in the back of police cruisers and things. I have that same sort of system. Right now we're using AT&T. It's costs $60 a month, totally unthrottled. I can use as much as I want or as little as I want, and I've never had a problem with speeds. We stream HD, we do all the work we need to do. And of course, there will be areas in the U.S. and other places where we won't get great cell signal, but I mean, that goes without saying. Sometimes you're out and about and your cell phone doesn't get good signal. It's just the way it is. So yeah, $60 a month right now. I don't know if that's going to change, but for right now, that's the cost per month.
Last but not least is domicile and what we're going to do there. And I'll tell you, we're not 100% sure on which state. I think it's right now between South Dakota and Texas. Positives and negatives to both, but we've done a lot of research on those two states and what's required to do that.
I think we're leaning more towards South Dakota because it is pretty simple. Basically, it's 1 day in, 1 day out. You go there, you take care of your driver's license, registration, tags, all of that stuff. You get an address, and you have to fly back or drive back, whatever the case may be for you. 1 day or 24 hours,
24 hours.
in a 5-year period. So that really kind of makes sense. South Dakota is not in a bad spot in the U.S. anyway, so that's probably
True.
the way we're going to go.
As long as we don't have to head back there in the wintertime.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
That's all I ask.
Wouldn't want to do that.
But if you have a preference, Texas or South Dakota, would love to hear your feedback on that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And what is the advantage? So we currently reside in Arizona. What's the advantage to changing our domicile to one of those other two states?
Well, the big advantage right now is Arizona. It's taxes, right? South Dakota has no state income tax. So that's one advantage. Arizona, the taxes are incredible. Insurance, registration, tags are super expensive. Here's an example, and these are not exact numbers, but our Class A motorhome is a 35-foot motorhome, 2008. It's about a little over $400 per year here in Arizona. And I think last time we checked, it was about $60 for an annual registration in South Dakota. That's a no-brainer, right? Yeah. And then insurance rates will also be cheaper. Arizona's super expensive for insurance.
That is true.
So yeah, I think any place other than Arizona would make sense. It's just when it comes down to establishing a domicile, and many of you may already know this, we just have to be able to establish our intent to domicile there, and that's why it's important for us to not have any ties here necessarily, like storage units and things like that. That if it ever came down to proving our domicile, a judge would say, well, you still have a storage unit in Arizona. I really don't think you intend on being a resident here, and they could really deny our domicile and send us packing. So,
great motivator to make sure that we get rid of all of our stuff and not have a storage unit left back here in Arizona that we have to pay for every month.
Yeah, I mean, ideally, we're going to downsize to a few plastic bins that you might be able to put in a closet.
Plan, yes.
With family members or something, just keepsakes and things like that we don't want to get rid of. So.
Yeah, that is the plan. All right, and I believe that those are all of the items that we have at least worked through the planning stage up to this point. We have so much more. We still have the sale of our home, the estate sale, and how all of that is going to work. I will tell you that we do have, as Brian mentioned, a family event coming up on March 10th, and so we probably will not put out an update, a weekly update due to that family event. So just a heads up.
So we're interested in knowing about your journey. I think primarily what was the most difficult thing for you and perhaps the easiest thing for you on your decision to go full time. So let us know what those are. We'd certainly appreciate hearing from you, and we'll be sure to respond back.
So more information to come, and we look forward to sharing more with you soon.
See ya.
Bye-bye.